everyone. If you are new, my name is Marin. Welcome. This week's teaching related video is going to be all about how I introduce my word work centers to my students. So I wanted to just kind of take you through because I thought some might find this helpful or interesting, and it's kind of a good way for me to talk through my process and see if there's anything I might want to change or do differently as I'm talking about it. So it is Tuesday. This was it's Wednesday. This was day 3 of doing word work centers. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna insert some pictures as I'm talking to you because I've been taking pictures of them doing the different activities. So on day 1, I gave everyone the same activity. So I gave them different letters. Some of them were letter magnets, foam letters, the letter erasers from the Target, Bullseye's Playground, etc. So I gave everyone some letters. And then I had typed up a paper. I'll put a picture right here because I'm too lazy to walk over and grab it, that I just made on Microsoft Word. I used the font KG Red Hands, made a table, and just typed the capital letters out on the page. And their goal was to match the letter to the paper. So I'm gonna put some pictures here, just flash them to the side, of my students doing that. So on day 1, I modeled it under the document camera, and then they got to work doing this matching activity. Some of them had some lowercase letters, so it was giving me kind of an idea of who could match lowercase letters to the capital letters, who couldn't match anything unless they were really looking at it. Some of them could pick a letter up off the tray, know immediately what that letter was, and then just look to find it on the paper. Some of them were just looking at the shape and trying to match the shape of the letter. So that was a fun activity. They had a lot of fun with that. The goal for day 1 was just to work quietly on that task for 3 minutes. So 3 minutes was our goal. They did well. So on day 2, we talked about kind of our independent work habits, I guess, for lack of a better word. I have a Google document, Google slide with some pictures that show the right thing to do and then the wrong thing to do. We go over that every single time, talk about the right things to do, because eventually on my slides I will just put those behaviors, not the incorrect ones, but we're kind of doing a discussion of what's the correct thing to do, what's not the correct thing to do. Here's a screenshot of what I'm using right now before we start. And then we follow the Being a Reader program from Collaborative Classroom. So it has a setting the foundation lesson for word work. So before they do the task, I do the little lesson that's from the book. So it basically talks about, what did you see when I model? What did you notice that your classmates were doing? All that kind of stuff. So we do have a lot of discussion about it, but that was day 1. It went well. So on day 2, I decided to introduce some different activities. Now, as you'll see from the pictures, they are sitting at their tables. I'm putting the activity in the center and they are working on it for a set amount of time. Eventually they will be selecting their own word work activity to do, but my goal is to introduce all of them so that when it comes time for the independent work, when they're choosing their own activity, they will know what to do without me having to intervene or talk to them about it. That's the ultimate goal. So on day 2, we worked for 5 minutes. I had them do one activity that was not the letter matching, and then I swapped it. So some groups did a new activity, some did the letter matching activity. Again, you're looking at pictures that I took flashing from the side, along the side rather, and that went pretty well. Again, our biggest issue is voice level. They're not over the top loud, but they're louder than they can be when I need to start pulling small groups. So we're working a lot on voice level. I have 24 students, so it's just a lot of bodies and a lot of little voices. So we're working on voice level. And then today, day 3, we did the same thing we did yesterday because I'm trying to make sure everyone has a chance to use all of the different activities before I introduce anything new. And we worked for 7 minutes today and it went really, really well. So I am very pleased with the progress that we're doing so far. And that's just kind of a quick little overview of what I've been up to, what we've been up to, and how I've been introducing word work. So I will continue filming this Thursday and Friday, talking to you more about some of the new activities that I'm introducing. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to carry this over into next week to kind of do like a full video, because next week, I believe, I haven't looked at the manual, but I think next week might be when they start choosing their own. I can't remember. So I'm gonna go ahead and film this over like a 2-week period, take you through the other activities that we're doing, and kind of chatting with you about how things are going with my class, because I feel like that will be kind of a good documentation of what my students are doing, what their progress is, etc. So anyway, that's what this video is going to be about, and I'm going to sign off for Wednesday. I will talk to you again tomorrow, and that's pretty much all I've got for right now. So I'll see you later. Hello everyone, long time no chat. So I meant to get this video out last week. It did not happen because things were just beyond crazy. Like, there's no other word for it. So I'm gonna finish up my Word Work Center vlog type thing, my introduction to how I teach Word Work Centers this week. Hopefully today, actually, ideally, we'll cross our fingers. So anyway, I did take footage from 2 weeks ago. I'm gonna insert that right here so you can see my students doing some of the activities. All right, and now that we are in basically week 3 of independent work and like teaching the expectations and things like that, what I did is I assessed my students' letter knowledge last week. So I tested everyone on capitals. Those who knew 21 out of 26 capitals, I tested on their lowercase letters. And if they know 21 of 26 lowercase letters, they know enough to go into the first being a reader set. So that's kind of how I'm going to differentiate from here on out. So basically, if students do not know their capitals, they are going to continue to solely work on letters and only letters, a mix of capital and lowercase kind of combined, but focusing a lot on capital letters. The students who know capitals but do not know all of their lowercase letters are going to get lowercase letter work for their word work bin. And my students who know capitals and lowercase are going to start doing sight word centers. So I'm going to take you over to my Word Work Center. I'm going to show you how I've got it set up right now, explain it. I did a whole video on how I differentiate my word work bins, which I'll link up above, because that goes through like all of the activities, but that was from like the middle to end of the year. So this is kind of a look at my beginning of the year activities. So let me walk you over there. I'm going to show you what we're working with, and I will take you through the activities and discuss them. So here is how I am storing my word work activities this year. I just have this shelf. These are like sensory bin type activities. I'm going to incorporate those later on. Right now we are just working with these, but as you can see, I do have 3 different colors. So my yellow is for my students who are working on capital letters, green is for lowercase letters, red is for sight words. So what I'm gonna do now is just kind of take you through the bins. You have seen several of these activities in the clips that I've been taking of my students. So I'm gonna start with the red ones, the sight word ones, because those are new. So basically, it's sight words and then some other additional skills. So this puzzle has pictures, and then you are supposed to find the rhyming words. Like here's one right on top. So dog and frog rhyme, go together. They'd make the match because we are focusing on rhyming words, and the students who know letters can start working on rhyming words and beginning sounds. Beginning sounds is another activity that I have in here. Now, this one is a writing activity. So these are the cards that I made with my students' names. So I used the clip art from Learning in Wonderland. I'll link her like reading bin pack down below, but I typed their names. These cards are from Tara West. They come in her back to school survival, I think, but my students' names are on here, and the students can take that and practice writing the other students' names on here just to give them some handwriting practice. So that is this activity. That's another one for students who already know letters. And then I found, I think this one I saw advertised on TPT, but someone took the Target letter erasers, which my students were using for an activity already, and they can lay them out and then they build the word and write the word. And for this one, I took the sight words and just put them on a red ring. This is red group, so red word, because my thinking is that this will probably be useful for like a bunch of different groups, and depending on where they test into being a reader, that may change like the bin color. So I may do like 2 color dots on the front of these, because these can be used for multiple groups, and then they would just grab their color, like their group colors words. So these are the first 11 sight words that are in here, and they can spell them with the erasers and then write them on the line right here. So obviously in this bin, I have a marker and an eraser, which I'm just using little pieces of felt. And then I have the dollar spot bullseye playground letter erasers. So that's what's in there. And then the last one is a beginning sounds activity, which is also a dry erase activity. So this is from Tara West. This is from her, I think it's her thematic centers. I don't remember. I'll link it down below, but you can see it has the letter, and then they have to find the picture that matches that sound. So like astronaut, A for astronaut, K for key, and they'll just use the marker to like circle it. So they also have an eraser to wipe that off. So those are my red groups beginning centers. 1 working on rhyming, 1 on beginning sounds, 2 on sight words. Well, 1 on writing names, and then the other on spelling out the sight words. So that's the 4 activities that I have for them picked out right now. Depending on how it goes and how my groups work out, I may add some more depending. My lowercase letters, I only have 4 students that are still working on those. So that's like the smallest group, but anyway, so let's talk about those next. You did see this activity. So on the lily pads are the lowercase letters, and then they have the frogs with the capital, and they have to make a match. This one doesn't have a match, but you know, they'd make matches. So it's got a bunch of different lily pad choices that they can use. And then I just dump the frogs in the bottom of the bucket. So that's one activity, because again, focusing on lowercase letters, getting those in their minds so that they're ready to start reading. So that's that activity. This next one also uses materials from Bullseye's Playground. So it uses the letter tiles, and I printed these out. These are from Mrs. Jackson's Little Learners. Again, I'll link it, but they're gonna have to match the capital to the lowercase right here. So that's kind of just to reinforce, again, lowercase letters. And then these last 2 activities they've been working with. So this is the key one, where you have the lock that looks like this, and they have to find the key that matches it. So this would not match, but yes. So because on the key is the lowercase letter, and on the lock is the capital letter. So it's basically, again, getting them thinking about what letter goes with what. So that's that one. And then the last one is another matching game. You're supposed to play memory with these, but we don't do that. So it's got the capital letter on one, and then like a lowercase letter. So they're gonna have to make the matches that way. So those are the lowercase letter activities. And because I only have 4 students working on these, there's only 1 student in this group in each of my word work groups. So this one will be fine with just the 4 activities to start. And I'm hoping that the couple of them that are close, they know like 17 or so lowercase letters, I'm hoping that they will get enough where it will like push them into the next group. So hopefully I won't have to come up with more activities for that. But those are all of the lowercase letter activities. And then we have the yellow, which is for my students who are working on capitals, just letters in general. So this activity was my very first original activity that we started out with. I typed this up. They match the capital letter eraser to the paper, and it's just a matching activity. Next up, this is a new one that we have not done yet. These are lowercase letters. So I could technically do them for the lowercase letter group, but you can see if it's an S, they put a red cube on it. If it's T, they put an orange, etc. So these are all of the cubes. I just gave them 5 of each because when I counted out, that's about how many they need. And that's this activity. My students last year had one similar to this that they really, really liked. And then I have puzzles. So I'm keeping the puzzles in there because that's good for like fine motor and just problem solving skills. And then the last one is another one with those tiles from Target. So, but this time they're matching the actual like capital to a capital letter like this. So those are all of my introductory word work activities now that I've sectioned my students. So I will post what activity they're supposed to be doing, like what color, on this board here, so they'll just look up there and find their activity. So that's that. I am not doing any paper and pencil tasks as of yet because we're just not ready for that, I don't think. And I want to get them all using like hands-on activities. So that's them, y'all, that's them. But I do have like stamps right here. And I did buy like a pack off TPT. So I'm wanting to introduce like pencil and paper type tasks at some point. We're just not there yet, and I'm not sure that I want to be making all those copies as of yet. So that's pretty much it as far as explanation goes. I think I mentioned I have been using the well, I have to use the Being a Reader, like setting the foundation lessons. So that kind of gives us our focus for each like day, and it gives us like a different goal. So we do have like our independent work habits, that's what the word is, our habits that we are teaching as well and kind of going through and reflecting on. So all of that's kind of tied in with introducing these activities. But the rest of this footage is just going to be my students doing the activities. So I'm going to film throughout the rest of this week, put that footage on here for you to see, and that's going to be the end of this. But hopefully you found it useful, helpful, etc. Nonetheless, if you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. And I will see you in my next video, which will probably be either like a week of my teacher life or potentially my classroom tour, because that's kind of where we are in terms of things. So anyway, yes, I will see you then. Bye, everyone.